But some former Bulls, let me put it that way, aren't happy, Rob. We had Craig Hodges on, and he told us that he's not happy with the way Scottie Pippen was portrayed.
And that he didn't get a chance to talk in it. He said he
Yes.
was one of the people that they did not
Scottie
talk to.
Pippen reportedly is upset. I actually texted with somebody today who is close to Scottie.
Okay.
And I asked him, is it true that he's, PO'd with the depiction of him? And he said, yes, with exclamation points. So it's true, he's upset.
Yeah, but the only thing is, I think Scottie, you really can't. Scottie got plenty of time to talk. There was an episode almost all about Scottie.
He got a segment.
Am I right?
Segment. Yeah, he got a whole episode.
He got a whole episode.
Phil, and Scottie.
Yes, they all got
shine.
episodes.
And
you know what? Steve Kerr got a half an episode, not a whole one, but he got a nice
he got a little love.
Chunk too.
He certainly got more love than a player of that caliber.
Right,
would have gotten, but
I got it though
coach,
because
obviously.
of his dad being
right,
killed.
Right,
I think that it made sense.
BJ got a lot of love.
Yeah,
he's a friend of the show. We love BJ. He got a lot of love. BJ got a lot of love. And BJ didn't get made to look bad. I mean, I guess you could say, they embarrassed him when he was on the Hornets and he talked trash and they went at him. But Scottie. I get it, Rob. If I'm sitting there watching it and I'm Scottie Pippen, you know how it is, Rob. Negative things people say. 9 people could give you compliments.
Yep.
And one criticizes you, and you're more likely to think about the one criticism. That's just kind of, most human beings are like that. And so I understand Scottie's looking at, wow, the migraine. Wow, the 1.8 seconds when I sat on the bench because Kukoc got the play call for him. Wow, the contract. Wow, the surgery. But he's not looking at the fact that Jordan said, he's my greatest teammate ever. And Jordan played with James Worthy in college.
And said that he gave him credit for them winning.
Right. I wouldn't have won him without Scottie. The other player said Scottie was, our favorite teammate. He was a great guy. And even the Kukoc thing, I mean, I tell you what, it's amazing the way they moved right past it. And they said Scottie was remorseful. He was crying when Cartwright gave the speech. So, I get where Scottie's coming from, but I just don't think it was true. I don't think they went out. Let me put it this way. I don't think they went out of their way to make him look bad. I can say that with full confidence. I agree with that.
Yeah. I think that there's no way of doing Scottie Pippen and not talking about those issues, Chris. It's just impossible.
Right. They weren't things that were hidden. Everybody knew.
Everybody knew. Chris, I'm going to tell you this, and I swear, when I covered the migraine game in Detroit, I was working in New York at the time at the Daily News. I remember thinking to myself, well, this is before they've ever won anything, so I didn't know where this was going. I said, I don't know if Scottie, to myself, I didn't write this. I wasn't a columnist. I said, I don't know if he'll ever get over it. That in the Game 7, he had an ice pack on his head and couldn't help his team win. I'm telling you, that's how big it was. That's what I thought at that time.
Well, and Rob, and Olden Polleny said this yesterday on the show. I'm sure that a lot of people wouldn't come out and say it because you do feel for a guy in that situation. But I'm not a doctor, of course, but I would think that was stress. Right? I mean, would you think that? I would think that was stress. Got to him. Mm-hmm. Without being a doctor, no expert opinion, but that's what you kind of think. And look, they gave Scottie love for playing through the back injury in Utah. You could see he could barely run. And he was in there gutting it through. So, Scottie's upset. But Grant, of course, Horace Grant is upset. He's probably the most upset because Mike said, he was one of the people that talked to Sam Smith for the book, The Jordan Rules.
Did you see the magazine article cover that came out?
Read
Chris,
that from 1993, right?
1993, Inside Sports, and Horace Grant is on the cover to have him and Scottie, and then the page is like ripped, right? And quotes where he's ripping Scottie, and he's ripping Phil Jackson on the cover.
And that is the year Jordan was done. Jordan had retired, so this is their year without Jordan. And there it is. So when I read that, Rob, and I didn't remember that article. I
remember the magazine.
Scottie. He said Scottie was full of himself. He said he's arrogant and success has gone to his head. It made me feel like, you know what? And I don't really know Horace. He's not going to be happy. It almost sounds like from that article and from what we've heard because of this situation that Horace maybe didn't like the fact that Mike and Scottie got more shine than him.
Right.
You mad at Scottie? How you mad at Scottie in 93,
I don't get that either.
So that's kind of what it makes me feel like. But yeah, I get it. If Horace had nothing to do with the Jordan rules, then he certainly should be upset. But we don't know for a fact, Rob, but I think he did. I don't think he was the main source. Know. He certainly wasn't the only source.
But he's a guy, Chris, from his previous stuff, like we just saw in that magazine cover, who was willing to talk. That was on the record, Chris. So if he's doing that on the record, do you know what I'm saying? Seriously.
No question.
Most guys don't have the cojones to go on the record and say some of the stuff that he said.
Right. So I do. I think he was one of the sources, as I said. A lot of people say Phil Jackson. Jerry Krause was almost certainly a source, right? He had a little issue with Jordan and jealousy, and so I'm sure he was giving up all that stuff. So,
all right,
yeah,
So what about MJ? Let's talk about that. Him being worried about the documentary.
Well, you're right. Because before he said that people gonna think I'm a horrible guy, and I think, Rob, that this has been good for him. I think most people, we've talked about it. He's gained some fans. He's gained a lot of millennial fans who look at him and, compare him to what we see today. And they see what he went through to win his championship.
It's in context. His whole career is in context now.
Yep. And so I think that he won some people over in the GOAT conversation.
He lost some teammates. But you know what? I think it was worth it for Michael Jordan to do it from this standpoint. The way just go to his Hall of Fame speech. He's not leaving any prisoners behind.
Right.
He just took to task everybody. So nobody should be really surprised by this. And I don't think he's one of those guys who, quote unquote, need teammates to feel good about who he is or what he's about. I think he just feels content, Chris, with what he was able to accomplish, who he is, and has kind of moved on. I don't think he'll be worried like, oh my God, Craig Hodges is never going to call me again, or Horace Grant is upset at me. Like maybe I should send him a pair of 14 Air Jordans that drop next week. You know what I mean? Like I really don't like they calling him for sneakers.
Right. I guarantee you he is not losing any sleep. He is that same steely-eyed, tough mentality he had as a player. He has, and
that's who he is.
He doesn't. He doesn't worry about what these guys are thinking about him or saying. I'm sure. Look, he counted up the cost. He knew what he was saying in that interview.
But I wonder if most people would do that.
Yeah. So I think, but that's what we want to throw out to the callers, Rob. 877-99 on Fox. As we said, we think Jordan gained some millennial fans. We maybe people that already liked him even like him more, but some of his teammates are upset. Is Gary Payton may be upset. Isaiah Thomas is certainly upset. So some of his contemporaries aren't feeling it. But was it worth it? Was it worth it for Michael Jordan to do this? The Last Dance, he wanted to put this out. He wanted to give his perspective on his career. And he did that. Was it worth it to gain the fans he did, but perhaps lose some of his teammates and maybe a few contemporaries as friends?
Let's do it. Zach in Arkansas, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Zach?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks so much for having me on. And thank you for keeping us entertained throughout this whole coronavirus. I think
Man.
it's helped me out quite a bit.
Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot,
buddy.
man.
We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So here's my take on this whole thing. I think it definitely increased Jordan's value, if you will, with the millennials. I think it's probably swayed more in his favor over LeBron recently when it comes to the GOAT debate. And when it comes to Scottie being upset and Gary Payton and all these guys, I think Jordan could care less. All he cares about is just his own success and whatever that is, whether that's his sneaker sales, his NBA greatness. That's all he cares about.
Yeah.
Zach, it's hard to argue. I do not believe, Chris, you said it. He's not losing any sleep. I just
No, not at all.
I just don't see Jordan as that kind of guy at all. Chris, in Chicago, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What you got, Chris?
Hey, good evening, guys. Hey, I think he did everything that he needed to do. And, yes, he's got the millennials and everything. But, I think he did what he did. It was worth it. As long as he didn't exaggerate anything and blow everything out of proportion or anything else like that, his
Great
friends will come
point,
back around.
Chris.
They'll forgive him.
Chris, great point. And you know
I
what,
agree.
Scott? That's a great point by you. It would be different if he did something and like beat up on Scottie when the story really wasn't like that. Scottie will think back and go after some time, like, dude, I did sign that terrible contract. I did say I didn't want to go in the game and let my teammates down. I did all these things. What part of it doesn't he get? So that's a great point, Chris, in Chicago.
Here's the other thing, though, Rob. And the caller said he didn't exaggerate stuff. Look, he showed B.J. Armstrong hitting a game winner over him, right? He showed Reggie Miller pushing him and hitting a game winner on him.
No doubt.
He showed that comeback, that game 7, Rob, against Indiana in 1998. Jordan was 2 for 7 in the fourth quarter, missed 2 free throws, and he scored 4 points or 2 points
Chris,
down the stretch. Scottie Pippen led him.
Game.
Right, and Jordan wasn't great down the stretch. And if you watch the video, they didn't show him missing the 2 free throws, but they showed Pippen scoring some buckets, other guys hitting shots. Like, they didn't have to show that.
But they couldn't fudge it because Jordan wasn't making baskets.
So I'm just saying, like, it wasn't – I thought it was a fair – for him, it wasn't exaggerated at all. They didn't go out of their way to make him look great. He just was great. So
no doubt.
Yeah, I that was a good call.
It was. Taz in Cincinnati. In the Natty, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Taz?
Chris and Rob, my guys, I love the show, man. I listen to this at work and on my way going to work. So.
Thank you,
man. Hey,
Taz,
we appreciate that, man. I used to live over the 471 bridge in Southgate.
You did? I live in Independence, not that far from. That's where I live at now.
Yep.
I'm working in Cincinnati right now, so I live in Independence.
Okay.
Hey, I got 2 takes. Right? As far as the documentary, I think Jordan, LeBron played a little bit of part of it. I think he thought about a little bit of LeBron because, you start hearing the rumblings like, is LeBron the greatest, when they came back and beat Golden State. And I still thought Jordan was the GOAT. I still think LeBron had ways to go. But you start hearing that rumbling, and then when Jordan dropped this documentary, it left no doubt.
No, I agree with you. Taz, right, Chris? I think he's right. There was a you remember when LeBron said that on the thing about what was it, uninterrupted?
Right. More than an athlete.
Right. Well, that's when I knew I was the GOAT or whatever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden this thing drops, and all of a sudden even people who I know are big LeBron fans, Chris, have said to me, I don't feel as confident as I did before.
Look, I like LeBron, but I've never wavered in saying Jordan's the GOAT. But I don't think Jordan did this because of LeBron.
No,
I don't think that at all. Right. But
I know some people have put that out there. I don't.
I don't think he did that. But I do think that, like the caller said, this is really giving him an even greater advantage over LeBron in most people's eyes.
No doubt. Let's squeeze one more in. How about David in Miami? You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Dave?
Hey, guys, love listening to your show. You tell it the way it is.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
I enjoy it. I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago about the GOAT. I'm the guy that told you Bill Russell has to be the GOAT with 11
Yes.
championships. What I'm telling you now is Michael Jordan could care less what people think. This is a generational thing. I go to the park now with my 10 and 11-year-old grandkids that playing ball. They don't know who Michael is.
Right.
Okay? and what it is now, he has just rebranded himself to keep his name out there. Okay? 10 years from now, people will forget who he is. 20 years from now, they won't know LeBron. The same way that, and you said this the other night when I was listening to you, you never saw Bill Russell play. You should watch some of his film.
Well, we watch film, but yeah,
Right.
we
But we've never seen him play. Right.
Okay?
Live,
I mean,
yeah.
his game, he didn't have to score, okay? He played defense. His four guys could cherry pick and hang. When he blocked believe me, I'm a diehard Knicks fan. I am not a Celtics fan.
Right,
Okay?
but
When he blocked a shot, he didn't knock it up to the third row. He knocked it so he could get it and throw it down court. These guys didn't have to play defense. But having said that,
let me ask you this, but your kids, your 10 and 11-year-old grandkids you mentioned, did they watch The Last Dance?
did they watch
They may be
any
young to understand it all.
No. They're not up that late watching.
Right.
Yeah,
I was just
yeah.
wondering if okay.
But they know who LeBron is.
Right.
Okay.
Hey, David, where are you from in New York? I think we asked you this before. Where are you from?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. All right.
All right, Dave. Good call.
Appreciate it. Thank you, bud.
He exaggerated a little bit though.
Yeah.
The four guys could cherry pick like Russell was 1-on-5 on defense, right?
Yeah. I know. But
You
but
know
all
what I'm
those guys were 5'11" too.
right.
Go back and
right.
look at the film. Now I've seen it. You go like,
No,
really?
it's
Look at
yeah,
Bob
no
Cousy's
question.
number. I'm not here to rip Bob Cousy, but he shot under 40% from the field, Chris. The numbers aren't that pretty. I'm telling you.
Oh
from some
no,
of
no.
these guys.
Well, I said it about Russell. 44% from the field as a 6'10" center.
And everybody else, right?
That's just
It ain't that impressive.
No. And then taking nothing away from him because, as I said yesterday, Rob, the dude was a winner. And here's the thing people don't realize. Obviously, Wilt was a better individual player, but it's not like Wilt didn't have a lot of talent with him. Wilt played with Guy Rogers, Hall of Famer, Paul Arizin, Hall of Famer. He played with Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, Hall of Famers, Gail Goodrich, Hal Greer, Hall of Famer. Like, he played with some really good players and still didn't win much. So I think it was, people tell you it was his approach. Wilt went out for the numbers. Russell went out to win. And the years Wilt won, he didn't put up the humongous numbers because he was focused on winning.
Here's the other thing, too. We were talking about a 9 or 10 hour documentary. What about somebody sent this in on social media, Chris?
I know what's coming.
Wilt Chamberlain. No, I mean, but the Wilt Chamberlain story is interesting. And of course, all the women sex with how many say 10,000 women. I mean, obviously that would
how
have
many
to be,
hours would that have taken up?
Yeah, I mean, but this documentary might be XXX. That's the only problem,
You know what though? Honestly, Rob, real talk. That's a good name. That's a good name.
No,
If they put together some type of documentary like this about Wilt Chamberlain.
Well, we could really hear more about him.
Yep.
How great he was, how they changed the rules.
Yep.
And all the other stuff. His lifestyle back
right.
then. Remember, it was free love back then, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah.
That and penicillin, but it was free.
But it would be interesting. That's a good one. That's a good name.